What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My channel is focused on helping you free your mind, also adopting holistic tools such as sound healing, meditation, and various other practices that I'll be sharing that I use myself and that I'm also certified in. In addition, also raising the human consciousness. And what I mean by that is this because a lot of people are asleep. And what I mean by sleep is that they're walking through the day to day life and not being conscious about how they're interacting with the world. And so, raising the vibration of our human consciousness and allowing you to practice tools that I share on my channel that's going to really help you with healing and developing more ideals to help you free your mind. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the difference between the ego and the higher self, and how do we know when our ego is talking and when our higher self is talking. So the ego only objective is to keep us safe, which means it keeps you familiar because it believes it's going to, because it wants you to survive, okay? Keeping you safe is his only objective. And sometimes the ego is rational. When it comes to our higher self, the higher self is the highest, most exalted version of yourself. So it's you in a better version, right? It embodies noble traits like observation, awareness, intuition, reflection, balance, foresight, expansion, and big picture thinking. And so, whenever we're making decisions, most of us resort to our ego mind because our ego mind has been the thing that has been keeping us safe our whole life. Don't do this, don't do that. You're going to get burned if you touch that stove. If you do this, then no one's going to like you. So, our ego self is always trying to keep us safe. And though sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good because our ego also gets offended. So, whenever we are interacting with people, our ego sometimes might get offended if someone says something that we quote unquote think that is negative or that could be harmful to us. And so, for example, let me give you an example. Say you're having a conversation with someone and that person has a different understanding and you have a different understanding and y'all have this clash against each other. They think this, you think that. No, the sky is blue. No, the sky is yellow. And so y'all having this big old fight, verbal fight about who's wrong or right. So that's the ego. The ego is like, no, I'm right. So the ego is going to defend you to make sure that it's protecting you. Even though, quote unquote, you're not in danger, the ego is still going to be this thing that is going to protect you, regardless, or if a lion is like running after you, or someone is just having a discussion with you. And this is what I talk about is when the ego isn't always where you need to be operating from, because sometimes the egos causes us to create unnecessary stress within ourselves. The ego also doesn't allow us to look at the big picture, understanding like, oh, they understand that, so they have that belief and I have this belief, and understanding like it's okay if they think the sky is yellow and I think it's blue. Like we have a difference of opinions. And so your higher self is going to see that. Your higher self is going to be like, oh, we're just having a discussion and no one's right or wrong. We're just having a discussion and we have different opinions. So the higher self is always looking out and seeing the big picture of everything. It's seeing that, oh, it's okay to be different. It's okay to think different. It's okay to have different perspectives. And understanding that and having respect for that person and their own belief system. And so the way you know when it's your ego showing up or your higher self is showing up is how you're reacting. Your higher self is always reacting from a place of understanding, a place of love, a place of care, a place of, again, big picture thinking. Your ego is like, I'm right, you're wrong. What did this person do? Why this person did that? It's always trying to analyze and be very analytical about what the situation is instead of seeing the situation from a higher light. And the ego actually prevents us from doing things. Like, say you want to start something new, say you want to start a business, And the ego's like, no, you don't need to do that. Remember your mom's tried to start a business. It was very unsuccessful. She lost all her money. No, 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 don't do it. And so you think, oh, that's my higher self. No, your higher self has gave you the ideal to start the business. The higher self is like, everything is going to work out for you. We're going to do it. There might be some challenges, but we're going to be able to get through it. The ego is like, no, it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to work out for us. The ego is this negative, pessimistic thing that is trying to keep you safe. Now, again, we need our ego for certain things, like when we're actually in real danger, but sometimes our ego prevents us from doing things that we want to do, from actually having a life that we want to have, for actually being able to look out and see the big picture of things, because sometimes it keeps us stuck. And I can honestly say, the times I thought it was my higher self, it was actually the ego. Because your higher self whispers. Your higher self is like very quiet. And so you have to be paying attention to hear it. Your ego is very loud. It screams at you. And so that is telling you, oh, it's my ego. This is my higher self. That's kind of how you know. And it's a feeling. The ego, the feeling behind it is always something like very strong. When I mean by strong, like it's not a good feeling. That's discomfort. When it's your higher self, it's more relaxed. It's more at ease. And really, you feel so much like, oh, okay, this is the best decision. When it's your ego speaking, there's some disbelief. There's some feeling of like uncertainty because, again, you're thinking from a place of your ego. Now, our job is not to kill their ego in life. Our job is actually to harness the ego, to have that balance of the two, to have that balance of listening to your higher self, operating from your higher self, and understanding that your ego has a mission. It is to keep you safe, but understanding when that time is needed, that we say thank you, ego, for helping us be safe. If your ego is trying to intervene and it doesn't need to intervene, you can say thank you, ego, for all the times that you kept me safe, but in this situation, I don't need you to show up. And the more you continue to do that, you get more in control of yourself. Like a lot of us, and I can just speak for myself, sometimes we go through life living from our emotions. And that's triggered by our ego. Like, oh, this person made me mad. I'm going to act like this. I'm going to act like that towards this person. This person was nice to me. I'm going to act like this. I'm going to act like this from this person. Like, that's still our ego, even when we're operating in a positive way. It's still our ego because our ego is basically choosing how to treat people based on the experience we had with them. Our higher self is like, all right, that person had a bad day. It was nothing about me. That's what they got going on. I'm going to send them love and I'm going to keep it moving because I understand that people have bad days sometimes. So your higher self is always looking out and not really being so focused on who did this to me, who did that to me, is really focusing on the big picture. Okay, all right, let's look out. Did this person really mean to do that? And how do we know they really meant to do that? The ego's like, because I know they did. They did mean to do that because they always doing that. The higher self is like, but we can't really prove that. So we're going to zoom out. We're going to see, oh, we're going to get to know this person. We're going to realize, oh, this person is going through something crazy. They might be going through a situation right now and it's causing them to lash out. That might even tell you, yeah, I'm going through a lot right now. It's causing me to lash out on people. So it's not about seeking to be heard, seeking to be understood. It's really about seeking to understand people. And that's what I had to do. I started to seek to understand people. I started to, when someone says something to me, or if I felt like someone treated me a certain way, I would actually just seek to understand them, have conversations with them. And most of the times, people will apologize. People will say, oh, I'm so sorry I was rude to you earlier. I was having a really bad day. I had several situations where I decided to operate from my higher self and not from my ego. And it always turned into someone apologizing to me, someone being nice to me because they realized like what they did. But when I operated from my ego, all it did was cause more conflict. me back and forth for that person, this person being rude to me, this person doing this and that. It didn't really get me anywhere. And so that's why it's important, you guys. You have to have a balance of the ego and a balance of your higher self. Being able to operate between those two, understanding you need your ego, but you need to be operating from your higher self, because that's what we need in this world. That's how we raise the consciousness. That's how we keep creating positivity in this world. That's how we create change, by changing ourselves. But if we're always operating from a place of ego, that's how wars are created. That's how drama is created. That's how racism is created. That's how division is created. That's how we all continue to push ourselves apart from each other, when we're always operating from the ego, thinking like, I need to be better than the next person. This person thinks they're better than me. I know I'm better than them. We're always operating from a place of, I need to defend myself. I need to protect this. I need to protect that so no one else won't get it. When we need to be of love, we need to actually share with people, be of service to others. Not saying not being of service to yourself, because you need to do that, but really being of service, volunteering, really giving yourself without asking for something in return, really sharing knowledge about what you learned, and not really expecting the people to reward you in the end, because our ego is always looking for a reward. We already have the reward. We are in this body, we have this life, we're abundant. And once we realize that, the ego is just going to sit to the side and say, okay, well, maybe I need to just join in, because that's the truth. We have everything. And when we're always fussing and when we're always operating from the place of the ego, we're actually pushing everything from our life and not allowing to have a full experience and really be able to reap the abundance of this world, of this life that we were given. So, tips on how you can start operating from a place of your higher self versus always operating from the ego. It's to understand first when the ego is jumping in. If you're having a conversation with someone and maybe there's a debate going on, asking yourself, do I need to be right in this situation? And really looking out and saying, what is this person communicating to me? Am I listening, or am I just listening to respond? So it's important to understand that, because sometimes we're listening to respond. So when you're talking to people, allow people to talk. Don't interrupt them. Allow them to talk and really just listen and hear what people are saying. And not allow your ego to say, oh yeah, I used to do that too. Don't even think about saying that. Because sometimes our ego likes to identify with others. It's like, oh yeah, I used to do that growing up. Oh yeah, I do that and do that. Oh, I have that. No, just let people be. People don't even need to know that you have things. All right? So start listening to people and letting them share their knowledge, even if you know what they're saying. Don't say, I already know. Just listen to them and allow them to share. So the ego, once you start doing this and letting your ego know, no, this person is talking, even if we know what they're saying, it's important that we listen to them. Have those conversations with your ego. Oh, I feel you're getting upset. It is okay. This person is not hurting us. It's fine. And if you have the capabilities to say it out loud, maybe you're listening to something on the radio and you're getting upset about it, say it out loud. All right, ego, we're not getting upset. It's okay. This person has their own opinion, and that is fine. We don't always have to agree with everybody, but we all have our own opinions, and that's okay. So having conversations with your ego is the first thing that you could do. It actually is, if you don't do anything else, this is really going to help you balance your ego. Secondly, recognizing your triggers. Like, what are your triggers? What is triggering your ego to actually intervene? Like, once you know that, then you know when to interject, and you know when to control yourself when the ego is starting to answer questions, when the ego is starting to operate within the body. And then lastly, just showing people unconditional love. When you're operating from your higher self, like, be forgiving. Like, there's going to be people that might hurt you, that might piss you off. I had it happen, several things, very crazy things that happened to me. And in the midst of it, I still had to forgive people, give them unconditional love, because I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not walking around here always being nice, especially in the past when I was hurting. I know I wasn't really nice to people. So giving people that love and respect that you want to have. It's just like treating people like you want to be treated. Ask yourself when you're doing something, is this how I want to be treated? And if it isn't, then do not do it. And that's how you operate from your higher self. My camera cut off again, you guys. I apologize, but operating from your higher self, showing people unconditional love, and understanding how we treat others is how we want to be treated. So if you're treating someone nasty and mean, ask yourself, do you want to be treated nasty and mean? If you do not want to be treated nasty and mean, then treat people like you want to be treated. And understand that when someone is rude to you, do not take it personal. Do not think that because they're being rude to you that they're doing it intentionally. No one's intentionally doing things. That's the ego talking to you. Your higher self is not going to tell you they're intentionally doing these things to you. Ask yourself, if you're operating from the most highest version of yourself, would you ever say that they're intentionally hurting you? I don't think so. So that's the same thing, you guys. So if you want to know how you're operating from your ego, or if you're operating from your higher self, ask yourself that question. Is this something that my higher self would do, or is this something that my ego would do? And that is really going to help you with understanding how you operate throughout the day to day. All right, you guys, I hope this has been helpful for you, learning how to understand the difference between the ego and the higher self, and tools that you can use that is going to really help you start operating from your higher self so we can raise the consciousness. Remember, as a collective, we have to do it together. We can't do it alone. It takes more than me, and it takes more than you. We have to share this knowledge so that we can continue to make the world a better place. If you felt that the information shared in this video was helpful for you today, please write down below what was helpful and share it with somebody else. All right, so that's how we continue to help the consciousness. Lastly, if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so that you can come back for my next video. All right, you guys, have an amazing day. Bye.